Wow, I heard it on
Good.
this side.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So, for that situation where your engineer hit the mirror of the car
Hmm.
and you were trying to figure out what to do about it, whether or not to write him up, even though you've been together for a long time, or to just be a man of integrity,
Right.
how applicable from 1 to 5 was your use of listening in that situation?
Oh, I think anytime you have a situation like that, listening has to be a five.
Listening is a 5. Okay,
Hmm.
gotcha. That definitely sounds right. And then earlier you said empathy was pretty high, at least in the interview.
Yes. Yeah. And I, thinking back about the question when I answered it before, I'm thinking you have to have empathy for the person who made the mistake, knowing
Mm,
that, hey, you are in the same situation, like you've been there. And if you've never been there, then maybe you're just not thinking hard enough about something you've done like that, because we've all been there,
right.
and we need to have empathy with how we handle things. Doesn't mean we look over them, but you still have to handle it correctly. And
No.
that's the biggest that's one of the biggest struggles in leadership, I think.
Okay, gotcha. One thing I forgot to go over with you the first
Hmm.
time through the interview was healing. So I'll just go back to that first section of
Hmm.
the interview when we were
Hmm.
talking about just your greatest achievement of going from like the learning to actually competence phase of being a captain.
Sure.
And healing is defined as the strive to make yourself and others whole in the face of failure or suffering. So,
Oh,
how
yeah,
applicable would that be in your role of captain, just in general, not that whole specific challenge?
sure. I think that would have to be five in both situations,
Gotcha.
because you're trying to make the person who you've injured whole,
Hmm.
and you're also, by stepping through the discipline process, even though it doesn't feel good at the time, you're actually making your employee or your crew member whole, because that's not over their head. There's nothing you can go back to and say, hey, well, remember the time, blah, blah, blah. It's been handled, it's been addressed, and
Hmm.
it's over and done with. And
Right.
that's always a great feeling.
True. Just water under the bridge.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Persuasion.
Hmm. That would also be a five,
Okay.
because you have to persuade the person who you're working with that this is the right thing to do.
Right. Do you though? Like, I don't know. Would you have written him up even if like he wasn't persuaded? I mean, obviously you're
You
gonna do
know,
your best to try to make him understand, but like,
yeah, like, so I, as my, falling back to my coaching style of leadership,
hmm,
I'm not a big writer upper.
right.
So if the person gets it, like, if they completely understand what they've done wrong and they're like, my bad, so sorry, won't happen again,
Right.
it really makes my job easy. And unless there's an official reason to write him up, then I really don't have to address it. It's kind
Valid.
of like, okay, let's, now in that situation, I think we left a note on the car and like, hey, please call me. Here's my number. We hit your mirror. We damaged your mirror. We want to make it right.
Mm,
Never got a phone call. Um, so in that situation, that never came up, like a written reprimand or anything
oh,
like that,
gotcha.
because the crew member, right? He and there's one thing to discipline someone and have them, stand and take responsibility, but there's another thing of, you don't want to beat people on the head.
Right.
It's kind of like, look, we'll walk through this together, and I'm I'm not taking, this is your, you have to that you don't take responsibility for it. Well, that's not true. As a leader, you have to take responsibility for everything the employee does, which is why then we try to make it whole with the person. But you also have to make sure that you don't, that's not your problem, right? As far as ownership of the actual doing the damage and hitting the vehicle. And that comes into empathy too, right? Because you feel for the guy and you want to help him and you want to be there. But there's just this fine line that you always walk. And anyways, just a thought on that.
Just a thought.
Exactly.
All right. The next one was conceptualization. Do you remember that one?
I don't.
Okay, so that was the ability to seek appropriate balance between short and long-term things. So like you see the big picture and you're like just able to balance that out.
5.
5?
Sure.
For this specific situation?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Nice. All right. And then foresight.
Can you give me the definition that you are using for this?
The ability to see future outcomes associated with either of your actions.
5.
So you're like, if I choose to just sweep it under the rug,
sure,
what would that happen? Or if I address this,
5.
5. Okay.
Yep.
Nice. And then stewardship. So responsible use of resources.
Also 5.
There you go. Yeah, it seems like all these concepts are really applicable in like tough situations.
Yes. Yep.
Especially where you're like, it's a really tough situation, so you're trying to like,
Sure.
And then commitment to the growth of people.
5.
There you go. For your engineer, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And myself.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true.
Doing hard things is difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt. And then lastly is interest in building community.
5. You want to make things right with the community.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure, you're not doing stupid things and, treat people with respect, honor their rights.
Yeah. Sweet. And then one last question. I'm putting together like the presentation. And what would TFD be considered? Is that like a corporation or an organization? Like who
it would be a city department.
City department. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
it
answers to the mayor of Tucson and not the governor.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And they call it a paramilitary operation.
Okay.
Operation because there's structure and there's different levels of advancement and promotion and things like that.
Right.
So I think one of the biggest things to take away from the whole ethical aspect of things is that you really need to be ready to go and have your life in order before you can do any of these things. So, and even speaking from a Christian perspective, you better be self-aware and always be questioning that you're doing the right thing. And you have to come into a leadership position like that. If you don't have that grounding in your everyday life, you're not going to be able to be a good leader.
Right.
You might be able to, check some boxes and things like that and just, get by with things. But if you want to be a good leader, you better kind of have your ducks in a row before you
come to those hard decisions.
Yeah. Not that you're not going to, you have to know everything.
Right. But it's like an everyday practice.
Yeah. Having the attitude of self-awareness. So.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And then the last thing I'm curious about is, so they're asking for like more of a specific time frame
Hmm.
for like your career achievement. So you're just
Oh,
kind
like
of
how
like just
long
that
into it?
transition. So I'm like,
Sure.
what sort of like how many years had you been a captain before you started that sort of transition? And you were saying it's probably like a really long
Uh,
process, but like was there
it
a
is.
point where you really noticed that happening? Because you talked about like Chief Lopez like
Uh-huh.
really helping
Uh-huh.
you with his coaching and
Yes.
disciplinarian like authority.
Yeah.
But
Um, gosh, I wish I could point 10 years. I'm trying to think, how long have I been a captain? Been a captain at
19
least,
years.
yeah, almost 20. Um, Golly. Yeah. And then, so probably a good 10 years in was like, okay, I'm moving along and
Right.
I can
10
take
years
the,
as captain or just as a fireman?
no, as a captain in a leadership position. Um, but then even after that, I had big ethical dilemmas with employees that I
Right.
had to work through that were super difficult.
Hmm.
We don't have time to go over all those things, but
Right. Yeah.
just eat you up at night, right? Keep you
Hmm.
awake, um,
Yikes.
blood pressure through the roof, and just like, how am I going to handle this? And then you just tackle it, and it's going to be messy. That's
Hmm.
another thing I'm learning. Sometimes things are messy,
That's
and
true.
but you take the step, you walk through it, and then you take the next step and the next step, and you keep to do the right thing to make things correct. And it's going to be messy at first, but then it starts to get a little bit easier as things play out. But
Right.
it's difficult. Yeah,
Sweet.
take the first step.
Thank you. And just so
Yep.
you know, like, I don't know if I'll like use this audio in like um the actual turning in of like assignments and audio
Sure.
files.
Yep.
This is just so like, if my professor asks if I fabricated any of the answers,
Oh,
I
right.
can be like, no, I know it wasn't
Here's
included in my
Yeah.
actual interview audio, but
Oh, cool. Awesome. Whatever you need to do,
okay,
I'm
sweet.
good with that. Yeah.
Muchísimas gracias.